4, the number of Super Nintendos that I own. That's also technically the number of Super Nintendos that I own that are also broken, but we won't talk about that. 4, the number of SNES hardware revisions recommended by purists for optimal RGB output. 4, the number of available colors for the Super NT, a hardware reverse engineering of the original Super Nintendo. And 4, the number of seconds before I tell you this video is brought to you by...
us? Check out the LTT merch store at the link in the video description. We've got shirts, mugs, stickers, hats, and more!
The Super NT is the latest retro console from Analogue, built by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Right off the bat, it appears to be quite a bit less premium than their original reverse-engineered NES, the NT. It ditches the USB charging port for its included wireless controller, and it's made entirely of plastic instead of 6061 aluminum. But that's actually okay, because in return we get a selection of classic and modern designs for both the console and its controllers. We get a price tag that's dramatically lower than anything Analogue has produced to date, a mere $189, including 2 built-in games, putting the Super NT within the reach, at least, of mere mortals. Unlike first-party SNES classics, which have gone for as high as $400 on eBay. Thanks for limiting your production, Nintendo. Anyway, what else do we get here? It's still got an SD card slot for firmware updates with the possibility of a jailbreak firmware that would enable you to run games off of it, and we have a single universally compatible SNES cartridge slot thanks mainly to 1990s Nintendo and their curious implementation of cartridge region locking. Moving around back, there's micro B USB for power, a single HDMI port, and that's actually it. No fancy outputs this time, but we do still have real SNES controller ports compatible with every single SNES accessory outside of the Super Scope. And again with the downgrades, where the NT and NT Mini had 4, here we only get 2. Thankfully, multi-taps work just fine though. And that's it, aside from power and reset buttons. They really simplified the outside this time around, so have the internals been cost downed too? Absolutely not. We've got the same Altera Cyclone 5 and all its companion circuitry on the top side of its beautiful PCB, programmed again by Kevin Horton, aka Kevtris, the same legend who did the reverse engineering for the Analogue NT Mini's FPGA. Though he didn't go it alone. This whole thing has actually been something of a community effort, with input from people like Bew, the author of the super accurate Hegan emulator, intro sound effects by electronic musician Square Pusher, and a shiny new user interface designed by indie developer Phil Fish. Yes, that Phil Fish. Complete with a super slick optional animated intro that randomizes each and every time you power on the console. Within the menu, you'll find a ton of options to customize the experience, from adding and controlling the depth of scan lines to enabling more sprites on screen than the real SNES could handle, to adjusting hotkeys, audio volume, and even the skin of the user interface. It allows you to add filters like the previous consoles, or remove filtering entirely if you just want those beautiful chunky pixels in all their unaltered glory. As for what it's like to actually game on, to answer that question, I brought in my FrameMeister to test out an OG Nintendo adapted to HDMI alongside our Super NT with an SD to SNES, so we could test as many games as possible. Let's start with compatibility testing. Analogue claims it's 100% because they're actually simulating the chips in a real Super Nintendo. And from what we've been able to tell, they've hit the mark dead on, believe it or not. Not only does the Super NT handle edge cases that were only recently discovered and patched in emulators, the way they've done it allows them to improve upon the original without sacrificing that compatibility, in particular with the sound. So after spending some time with it, to say that it's a great experience would be a huge understatement. It handled literally everything we could throw at it, including enhanced MSU1 games with CD audio tracks and FMV. The picture is sharper, the audio is clearer, the input lag is non-existent. Every box is so thoroughly checked for this little thing that people around the office are already competing for their pick of the sample units, with others saying they're just gonna buy one themselves if they miss out, which is probably the boat I will be in. If you spent any significant amount of your childhood playing Super Nintendo games and you want the real experience on modern hardware, this is it. I mentioned this already, but the sound is one of the best things about the Super NT, although I would personally like a toggle to put it back to 100% original. They won't tell us how they improved things exactly, but knowing a little about the Super Nintendo's audio processor helped us kinda piece it together. The SNES mixed together individual sounds like a drum or a guitar to make music or sound effects, and these small sounds were usually somewhere between 8 and 22 kilohertz. The OG Super Nintendo just mixed them together at 32 kilohertz with a Gaussian filter that basically muffled it to hide the resulting noise. Meanwhile, the Super NT mixes them at 44.1 kilohertz along with modern cubic or sync filtering, so everything sounds much sharper and truer to the artist's intent. Pretty cool stuff. There are some dilemmas with the console like this. If you're a new collector and want to support the original developers of the games you're playing, the only real way to do this is ironically via Virtual Console and the Classic series, which are emulators that don't give you the original experience. And the only way to get the Classic series anyway is on eBay, making your purchase less meaningful to developers and more meaningful to opportunistic scalpers. And what if you already have some games? Is it worse to buy unofficial hardware? Or is it worse to pay scalpers who buy up all the official stuff? Is it just as bad to download all your games and throw them onto a SD2 SNES or a Raspberry Pi for that matter? Well, nope, I can't answer that. I'm gonna bail hard. So anyways then, if what you're after is a no-frills, easy-to-use experience with full compatibility with all your favorite SNES games and as close to real hardware as possible, all while having full compatibility with modern displays, there's really no contest. This is your go-to. It's super inexpensive compared to getting a FrameMeister and potentially modding your SNES. It's well built, it's feature rich, and it's clearly a labor of love.
Just like your Squarespace site will be. Squarespace lets you pick one of their gorgeous templates and get a website up and running basically right away. They've got 24/7 support via live chat and email. It's just $12 a month and you get a free domain if you buy Squarespace for the year. The best part about Squarespace for us has been the responsive design, so with every template, your website scales to look great on any device, and the reliability. It just freaking works, and you can make changes to it on the fly. Every website comes with a free online store through their commerce module, and everyone can now publish content in Apple News format directly from the Squarespace blog module, making it available to millions of potential readers. So start a trial with no credit card required and start building your website today. We've got the link below. When you decide to sign up for Squarespace, make sure that you head over to squarespace.com/LTT and use offer code LTT to get 10% off your first purchase.
Thanks for watching, guys. If this video sucked, you know what to do, but if it was awesome, get subscribed, hit the like button, do all that fun stuff. Check out the link below to see where you can buy some of the stuff that we talked about in this video. Also linked in the description is our merch store, where you can buy cool shirts like this one. I'm actually wearing one this time. There we go. You can also check out our community forum, which you should totally join. And hey, I'm here, I guess, so check out Floatplane as well. Yeah, I know this video won't necessarily be for everyone, but I loved it, so I thought I'd come in and talk about it. Have a good time, guys. I'll see you next time.